This is a review of the Saucony Kinvara 11s. Okay guys, welcome back to the bedroom. We're going to get into the pros, the cons, and the overall feedback that I have after doing 100 miles in the Saucony Kinvara 11s. I did over 200 miles in the Saucony Kinvara 10s, a very similar shoe. But first, let's get into the pros of the shoe. And number one, the Power Run midsole over the Ever Run midsole of the Saucony Kinvara 10s. The 11s, you got this Power Run midsole. You can feel it when you squeeze the shoe. It literally gives a bit more like a softer foam. It really provides, I would say, an even smoother, softer ride. This gives a little bit more to a lightweight cushion shoe that fits, I would say, really well with the cruise aspect of the low drop. All right, let's jump into the aesthetics. Okay, so first off, there's no visible plastic heel cup. You can feel it, it's still inside the shoe, but on the 10s, you could really see it. I think it gives a much more natural, kind of overall organic, soft look to the shoe. This is a simple one, real simple one, but the laces seem to be a more appropriate length. I can't tell you how many loops I was doing with some of my previous shoes. I'm someone who ties my shoes quite tight. The lace length is perfect. And finally, the color bleed on the midsole. One thing I didn't really love, I'll even grab them right now. We can compare them a little bit side by side. Okay, so here I've got the 10s in my hand. And you can kind of see how the mesh, the color bleeds into the midsole. Yeah, check that out. That looks so much better, right? I mean, that's literally quite the preference right there. Now we can move on to the fit of the shoe. Okay, so I don't really know how to explain this, but I would say this shoe is slightly less narrow than, say, a Nike or even the Brooks Launch shoes. I've done quite a few miles in the Launch 5s, 6s, and now the 7s. I've done about 50 miles in the 7s right now, and the shoes just feel slightly long. I have a narrow foot, but the Kinvara seems to fit my shoe width to length almost perfectly. The size 10 it just seems to fit in every aspect of my foot. And that's something you just can't, that's specific to everyone. But I will say that the Kinvara fit, it was the same in the 10s and it's the same in the 11s. I really dig it. So yeah, fit, that's another pro. But there are a couple negatives. There's a couple cons that might sink you here. Let's jump into them. Okay, so there's two big cons, I would say, with this shoe. Number one, there's no weight change from the 10 to the 11s. I feel like maybe if you're improving a shoe and it hasn't really changed much, it's literally like almost the same exact shoe, aside from some of the stuff that I've talked about. You would think that maybe they could take, a 1/10 of an ounce off, even if it's just part of a marketing scheme, but like 7.8 again, it's still a pretty light shoe. You would just hope that with a new model that's very similar, if they could do something to make it just a slight bit lighter. Okay, and secondly, this is something that I honestly didn't realize until recently, is the 4mm drop. I think that it is perfect for going out and cruising casual miles, but like there's something about it where I find this shoe more comfortable than the Brooks Launch 7s. That's hands down. They both fit great. I just think this is a more comfortable shoe. But I tend to run or be more comfortable running quicker miles in the Brooks Launch, which is a 10mm drop. I will say, kind of on a side note, I'm pretty excited for the Endorphin line because that will be an 8mm drop. That's all for the endorphins. Those are my two negatives for the Saucony Kinvara 11s. And now, overall takeaways. Overall takeaways. Okay, so first and foremost, I do really enjoy this shoe. It is basically the same shoe as the Saucony Kinvara 10s with the, I would say, great improvement of the Power Run midsole. It does seem to be a little bit more forgiving, perhaps slightly lighter, although the shoe is the same weight. But it just seems to add to the kind of cruise factor of the shoe. That being said, it does come off as a cruise shoe and not a speed shoe. It has that 7.8 ounces that is kind of quick. It's light for a shoe, but it has the 4mm drop and hasn't gone down in weight in a number of models. So that kind of leads you to believe that, like, what's the identity of the shoe? Or is it simply they see it as good the way it is? I just don't. I would say it's a cruiser, but it has some aspects that they're kind of conflicting with a faster race day shoe. Get it for a ton of comfy miles, not necessarily for race day. That's my humble opinion. You can take that with a grain of salt. It's still a light shoe. It's still super comfortable. You might like it for race day. I just seem to run faster in shoes that have a larger drop, which seems to be, it's more, that's the big deal for me. So in overall conclusions, I hope you got something out of this video. I know it wasn't heavy on the stats or statistics, but I would recommend just going online and Googling the hard stats of the shoes. Hopefully, like I said, you got something out of this. Like, comment, or subscribe. Please support the running community. Let me know what you're running in out there. And above all, enjoy your running, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. These lights are pretty warm. Time to turn the air conditioner back on.